Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix is one of the two Harry Potter films I consider to be better than their book counterpart. And it's kind of funny that those two are my favorites of the movies of the series, Prisoner of Azkaban and Order of the Phoenix. But, anyways, yeah, because I just think this one's much better than the book. There are so many things this film does better than its book counterpart. It's kind of funny that they turned the longest book into the second shortest movie, and then the only movie that is shorter than it is the second half of a two-parter. But yeah, they managed to turn an 870-page book into a 2-hour and 18-minute movie. And I think the movie does a lot better than the book. Now, in no means do I think the book is bad, because I think the book is good. It's the weakest of the series, in my opinion, but I still think it's a good book. But the movie is just so much better. The movie is better at pacing. It's better at ruling out what's worthwhile and not. It doesn't have a bunch of unnecessary stuff. Like, a bunch of the book is fluff, and this one cuts out a lot of that. I think this film does much better at telling what is important to the story, which is something it really should know how to do, and what is not. Now, like, in the book, just the final battle is built up so much. Like, the big climax is like 100 pages long, because it takes forever to get there, and then it takes forever to get to the Department of Mysteries. This film cuts out almost that entire segment, and I am thankful for it. And why it's been taking me so long to get to this review is partially because I forgot about doing these videos for a little bit, and partially because it's taken me 3 months to read this book, not because I couldn't have read it in less, because I just read Half-Blood Prince, which is only like 200 pages shorter, in 3 days, but because I just couldn't get myself to read the book. Whereas this is a movie I like to throw on constantly. I will constantly go back and revisit this one. This one, even though it's only my second favorite of the series, is probably the one I go to revisit the most often. Because there's just so much I love about it, too. It's just a much breezier film than Azkaban, and despite it being a darker film, it's a much more light watch. Not like light in tone, but like much easier watch than Azkaban, because Azkaban's definitely a filmier film, if that means anything. Whereas this movie is definitely lighter on those aspects. This film just feels so fast and fun. It's really good, and it still manages to keep that dark tone intact from the book. Still manages to keep the looming dread of Voldemort's return and of the Ministry hiding it, but it still manages to be a breeze. And Dumbledore's army is still handled really well. And the relationship between Cho and Harry is handled really well, even though they cut out a lot of it, which I do think helped the pace quite a bit, because there was so much of it that the book too was just Harry crushing on Cho or them getting in arguments repeatedly, whereas this movie has her be the one to snitch about Dumbledore's army, even if it was just with a truth serum, and then it's done. And then, of course, because Spew was cut from Goblet of Fire, it's gone here too, but I feel it's a much better cut here, because I still think it was fine overall in Goblet, but it's just much better done here, because there was other things to focus on. And then, just so much of it is well done. Like, I just don't know where to begin. There's so much that wasn't really needed, and like they turn like 30 pages into like 2 minutes in the movie, and I think it's really well done because the scene just drags. And then the repeated detentions with Umbridge just gets kind of boring after like the first couple in the book, whereas they show up once to get across that message, and it doesn't really need to be shown again. And then Quidditch isn't here that much because it really didn't affect too much in the story besides Harry, Fred, and George being angry and beating up Malfoy because of parental accusations or whatever, arguments and all that. Even though Harry's had to suffer through plenty of those before, and he's just been just fine. It makes no sense. So yeah. And then Luna I just like so much about it. Like, her telling him about the Thestrals instead of Hagrid was really good. Like, and then Hagrid's coming back, where in the book there's a chapter devoted just to his tale of what's going on. They managed to shorten it down to like 2 or 3 minutes in the movie, and I think it's really well done in the movie. Just so much fit. And then, like I said, that final battle is so good. And Sirius is such a better character in this movie. Like, in the book, he's extremely selfish. Like, at the beginning, the Dementor attack happens, and then Sirius says that Harry, like, basically says that Harry has it easy because he's been stuck in a house, which is extremely selfish. And like, every time Harry goes to talk to Sirius, he almost gets angry in the book, and he's just such a dick in the book, and it's done so much better in the movie because you can actually care for him because he actually seems to care for other people, and he's actually nice and actually has redeeming qualities in this movie. So yeah, that's just one of the other things that's really good about this book. And then so much of these are just, they shorten it down so well, like I said. And then the characters are still really well done. Harry probably has one of his best arcs out of all the films in this movie, where he's dealing with like all that's happening. Voldemort's on the rise, and he's being called a liar for speaking out about it, and he's got all these people who are disbelieving him and stuff, and he's got to lead all these people, and he's just got a lot to struggle with, and it's really well done. And the hate for Umbridge is still spread across this movie. It's still done really well. And then she's a small character in all these, but Half-Blood Prince. But Ginny is my favorite character, so I have to say this is one of 2 of these films that understands Ginny out of the 5 she has a part in. Because this and Chamber of Secrets are the only ones that's really understood her part in these movies. I mean, she's fine in Half-Blood and the 2 Deathly Hallows, but she's just not the same character. Whereas this one, she's definitely got that spirit. And then Hermione is just way more tolerable in this one, because her spew thing becomes a whole nother level, and it just gets annoying in the book for Order of the Phoenix, but she's much better character here. She's actually understandable and stuff, and she's got her own hatreds for Umbridge and stuff, and it's really well done. And then there's just the Dumbledore's army is all just great. Like, all the scenes with Dumbledore's army is just great. And Sirius's death is, even though I do like it slightly better in the book, it's still really great in this movie and made me cry quite a bit. And then the possession scene is when Voldemort possesses Harry is great. It's just so good. But yeah, this is my second favorite of these movies, and I think it's way better as a movie than it was as a book. And I just love it. It's just such a great... It manages to surpass its book in every way. It's so good.